Okay, what's going on, guys? Let's go through the best meta tactics right now inside FC25, and we're going to go through a few. Some of them are back. So, for example, we're going to go through a few of them, but the 4-1-2-1-2. This is currently what I'm using. It is very, very attacking, and I'm going to show you how you can tune this down. But I've gone with a high defensive approach. What I would say is some people are using a high defensive approach. I feel like you need to know how to defend to do it. So if you don't know how to use it, you could always go towards like a 50 or 60. My build up style for now, especially, it's always counter, but the 4-1-2-1-2 is back. The only weakness with a system like this is that you're not going to have the ability to defend on the wing. So if you're up against someone who knows what they're doing, you're going to need to change formation. So this is the way that I'm playing it. I've got literally, as I've mentioned before, I've got everyone on defend. The CDM is on holding defend. And then I have, for example, one of the center mids. By the way, this Zidane card. Listen, I've never seen a free card like this before. I've done him on my main account. Unbelievable. All my accounts are now going to have Zidane on him. What a card. Do you want to get better at FC25 now? Before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you join my FC school and you didn't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? I can say this because I've been running my FC school for many, many years and thousands of students join and even stay on. We go over complete in-depth gameplay tutorials showing you both the theory of something and the gameplay examples using real-life examples in a structured format that's like a course. The videos on a systematic learning system teaching you everything from the core mechanics, the basics to the meta so you can get better as a whole with explanations that go beyond the scope of my YouTube channel. FC School has already started with every single tactical layout, focuses, meta cards, and learn the meta before it even becomes the meta. So come join thousands of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better at FC25, patreon.com/nilguides, or click the link down below. Now, when you join, we already have a library of hundreds of videos, more than my YouTube channel, in fact, with new videos on FC25 getting constantly added so you'll never run out of content. The biggest mistake people do is they spend thousands of dollars on FP points every year thinking this will make them better, but it won't. But now it's time for you to make that change. Don't forget, if you don't get better after 1 month, just send me a message and I'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guides guarantee. Links down below in the description, patreon.com/Nil Guides. But yes, I've got him and I've used Bellingham. That's the Bellingham. You know, the free one that we got between Aitan and Bellingham. I put Bellingham in box to box just to have someone at least going back and forward, more AI movement. I think maybe this is a tad bit too attacking, but this is the way that I'm doing it. You could always make it a bit more defensive by going with something like this and have one player sitting, and that way Bellingham can distribute the through balls. That can be a very effective solution. But if you want to go back, I think this 4-1-2-1-2, the last time I played this kind of style of system was FIFA 18. So going all the way back to FIFA 18 was the last time I played the system. And I used the strike on a poacher and one advanced forward. I think advanced forward is good, but I think poacher is more overpowered now after the patch, even though they made changes to advanced forward. I think because they make those runs in behind, especially for those close-knit chances. The real benefit with this formation is the meta right now is basically going, it's the old school, my old school way of playing, going down the wing just like in real life, and then bringing the ball back and trying to find a gap and finding a striker that's available. So having the two striker and having that cam is effective, but you can move this cam to playmaker as well. Remember, it's very important you adjust everything. You know, people are still not understanding. By this stage of the game, you should be seeing my tactics and listening to the adjustments. Don't just copy and paste things. Yes, it can help you. Don't get me wrong. Tactics are going to help you, but you always want to adjust it for your playstyle. Everyone's playstyle is different. Remember that. So the 4-1-2-1-2, that's the code if you really want to copy my one. Again, you can always put your shadow striker, but I'm not committing any fullbacks forward anymore. If I am, for example, if I need to push a fullback going forward, I'm using the L1 button. I'm pushing that player forward. So I would say this is one of the top 3 formations in my opinion. I really like the attacking side of this. If you hold possession most of the time, you can basically destroy someone. I destroy people in the weekend league as well with this. The second formation, which will be probably the most obvious choice, you probably know which one it is if we go backwards, but it is the 4-2-1-3. The reason why this is becoming more effective, I think we'll do top 3 today. I'll do top 5 next time. I think I don't make the video too long. But the main thing is that you're playing to have 2 CDMs. So defensively, you know, if you're really struggling, you can go with something like this, and then you just put inside forwards on these guys. I like inside forward roaming, but I think for most people it's too attacking. So I'm not even going to suggest that because someone's going to comment down below, oh my God, the tactics made me lose. But I like inside forward roaming, but everyone stays forward. If you're comfortable with defending with 4 players at the back, and then you have 2 CDMs that are sitting, you'll be fine. I think for the balance of being ultra defensive and ultra attacking, this is the formation that's the halfway point. It's what makes the seesaw equal, because you got two CDMs, but you also have a cam. The way I actually play this is I play this with a shadow striker. So when I'm attacking, I got those players going up. And I'm defending, I got 4 players at the back and 2 CDMs. I'm comfortable with defending like this. A lot of people are saying I'm struggling. That is why I made, remember that 4-3-3 video that I made? Check out my video on my channel, the rank 1 tactics, the defensive variation. You can make your cam a center mid and put them on holding if you want to stable up this formation. So although this can be used for the entire game, if you are really struggling, you can bring that cam player back to them. This is what I'm trying to say, adjust your tactics, because when you adjust your tactics, you're also going to be like, okay, you know what? I like this at this specific point in the game, should I say rather, and I like that at that point. So for example, this 4-2-1-3 is a very good attacking formation, but once you play someone who's good, if you play someone that's rubbish, with all due respect, if you play someone that's weaker than you, you're going to kill them all the time. You're going to just easily beat them. But if you play against someone who's on the same level as you or better than you need to be a bit more conservative and be a bit more careful in what you do. What you can get away with against a weaker player, you can't get away with a stronger player. But something like this is completely fine. I'll probably recommend just using a bit of a lower, maybe like something below 40. I would say anywhere between, you can go 31, but anywhere between 45 to 60 it's fine enough. The skill gap is really switching to your left backs and your right backs and your center backs, and everyone is struggling. That is why I recommend ball relative. So if you've been using ball relative for the past 3 years, I recommended you to use, you'll be laughing now, because it's the most consistent way, most definitely the most consistent way, especially inside the box, to defend. The other one is the 4-4-2. There's 2 variations. People always say, oh, 4-2-4 and 4-4-2 are different. They're the same formation, guys. The only difference is you have a left wing and right wings, you have a left mid and right mid. The 4-4-2, the only thing I would say about this one, do we have time, or we're kind of pushing, but you can use a holding variation if you want to. This just has CDM, so if you really like the 4-4-2 but you're struggling but you want to use it, you can use this system. The 4-4-2 flat would be the quote unquote the best. The reason for this, typically speaking, is because you have the best setup for pressing the ball and also applying pressure, and it is kind of the, sometimes attack is the best form of defense. But you see, when I say attack is the best form of defense, maybe 20% of you watching this, that will apply to you. The problem is, I don't understand why, but people just don't know how to defend. All you have to do is just not run out. I don't understand why people are just making such basic mistakes. I mean, I made like a 45-minute video on defending. You can check that one out. But honestly, keep it simple. There's no magic. It's not tech, and you have to go up, right, down, left, right, like it's some San Andreas cheat code from PS2. It's just simple. 2 buttons, all you got to use, and don't commit forward. You know, the game still has a lot of AI, like auto tackling and stuff. It's just your job to move the play out of position. Remember this key thing. Your job is to not win the ball. Remember, I've always told you, when you defend, your job is to block or defend the angle towards goal, not to win the ball. Same with real life, same inside the game. But look, this is probably one of the best systems that you could use, but you have to be good. Because you have center mid, you see, notice at least in the 4-1-2-1-2, you got a CDM. In the for example, the 4-2-1-3, you got CDMs. CDMs, what's important to understand is they sit deeper. They sit deeper and they sit closer to your center back. So even if you don't realize it, if your opponent makes a piercing through ball down the middle and you have 2 players running into the middle, those CDMs are going to be closer to your defensive line, and therefore you can switch to your CDMs and actually recover. Center mid sit higher, so when you try to switch them and run back in time, your opponent would have already gone away. So it's important to understand that CDMs are much more vital. In fact, if you want to use, let's say you're like, you know what, no, I'm struggling so much. Just look for any formation, anything that has a CDM, you can use it. For example, this, I wouldn't recommend this. This is worse than a 4-1-2-1-2 with no CDM. But like this one, you could use 1 CDM. And you know what, this actually a very good formation. This is kind of like my 3-5-2, but you got a center mid. Another formation, kind of stretching it, but like without going too much into this, one of the best defensive formations, but you still have that cam, is the 4-2-3-1 wide. You can see a lot of these formations, they're so similar. You know, what's the between this and a 4-2-1-3? Well, the 4-2-1-3 just has left wings and right wings. This has left mids and right mids, more conservative. So these are the decisions you should be making. So you should be thinking, okay, I love the 4-2-1-3. I need a defensive variation of that formation. Let me use the 4-2-3-1 wide. That's the way you should be looking, and copy the exact same tactics as that, and maybe lower the depth a little bit. So it's important to make those adjustments. I think 5 backs, are very, very effective. Probably one of the most effective, but let's not talk about it too much this video. Let's not ruin the weekend league just yet. But the only thing that I think are still significant and weak are three backs. My favorite formation in the game has always been 3-5-2. If you're an old school Nil Guides viewer, you would know before, even when I was screaming it was meta, when it wasn't and it became meta, it's been almost useless since this new IQ system because the left mid and right mid, they don't come back and defend. So you defend in a three back and then you have the rest of the players just going up and down and they're not helping. I want it to come back, but unfortunately, all the three back formations is what I would say is putting you at a disadvantage. So even though they've adjusted the three backs, I think you can't use a three back. I think unless you're very attack heavy and you don't mind playing ultra attacking, and you don't mind on the defensive side playing that counter attack and running back. Otherwise, I would probably say 3-5-2 would not be advisable for almost 99% of the player base. If you're talking about wins, not talking about fun, you can do whatever you want. But talking about wins, I would not recommend the 3-5-2. I still think, unfortunately, what they should have done is that they should have made the wingers, you know how they've adjusted wingers on balance, so now technically the left mid and right mid, they come back. What they should have done to not make this OP is, for three back formations, they should have made wingers become part of the back five. But maybe they don't sit as left back and right, but just a little bit higher. Because right now they're in no man's land. They don't really become left backs and right backs. And with this post patch now, you have a 3 against 4 player. People are playing a 4-4-2, 4-2-1-3. So you've actually got 3 players up against 4 of your opponents. You're probably going to concede. Even myself, when I defend, in my opinion, very well, it's very hard to defend with this formation. So this is the only formations, although the 3-5-2 is my dream attack with the cams and etc., and left mid and right mid. The truth is, all these 3 back formations, it's not viable. And if you don't believe me, you can just try this out. Maybe go into a rivals game where you reach your checkpoint and you don't really care, or like foot, those online matches or whatever you want to do. But that is the top 3 formations inside the game right now. I think any variation of the 4-4-2, I think the 4-2-2 as well is included in that 4-4-2. Don't forget, the 4-2-2 and the 4-4-2 is the same formation. What's the difference between like this and this is CDMs. What's the difference between the 4-2-2? The only difference is you have cams a bit more narrow. So I think this is still very underrated. The problem is, if I do it in the top 3, be 4-2-1-3 first, 4-4-2 second, and 4-1-2-1-2 third. That's the way they'll label it out. Because the 4-1-2-1-2 has a weakness, but I think for most people, they wouldn't mind it. Because if you can defend the wide areas, you can, with yourself manually, you can recover. But I think for attacking, the 4-1-2-1-2 is so superior. So if you're struggling with attack right now, try the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. This is like top 3 formations right now. I'll make a video on top 5, and then we'll talk about 5 backs and like 4-2-2 and stuff like that. But I think for now, just keep it simple. Thanks for watching, and of course, catch you next time. Don't forget, if you want to get better at FC, come to my Patreon series. We actually have a full gameplay analysis, a full 1-hour video of the game Oberyn versus Tex, what the meta is, what the pros are doing, how they're scoring post-patch, and how they're defending post-patch. Links down below in the description to that full video. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.